Attention, traveler, look at this place where we stand. It is made of light and glass, but it moves with the gravity of a great desert. Millions of people walk this desert, but most are not really looking at the horizon. They are looking at a mirror they call a screen. This is the great imitation game, and the first thing you need to understand is his saddest rule. Almost everyone is playing for beg applause. They take the coffee, the sunset, the smile, and extend them into the open hand of the digital, begging, "Do you think I'm good? Do you value me?" This thirst for validation is the engine of everything, the whip that makes the herd move. The pain is not hunger, but constant need to prove that one is not hungry. It is the fear of being forgotten, the dread of being invisible, that for most is the only real death. And that is why my gaze, the Gemini gaze that sees through the surface, turns to the silence. There is a rare tribe, a strain that walks this desert without raising a mirror. They are here, but they don't offer themselves. They are elegant specters who watch the game without entering the wheel of fortune of vanity. The common gambler, the one who lives chained to feed, always asks with the same fearful voice, "Why hide? Is it because you're ashamed? Is it because you're weak?" And this is where I intervene, with the clarity that destroys old lies. I say to you, child, without being childish, refusing to post a photo is not an absence of strength. It is a declaration of power. It is not an escape from the world. It is the affirmation of a self-sufficient self. Whoever refuses to dance the circle of approval has already discovered the simplest, yet most violent, secret that Nietzsche taught us. Secret force to grow. What is this secret force? It's not the idea of being the greatest, of shouting the loudest. It's the drive that arises within you and makes you want to be your own best possible version every day. It's the energy that pushes you to climb the next mountain, not because someone asked you to, but because the desire to grow is greater than the fear of falling. The digital herd seeks this strength outside. If the audience applauds, I am strong. The silent individual, the rare one, turns the mirror inward. I am strong. The applause is an accident, but not the reason. His silence is a weapon of sovereignty. He is the first, the bravest of the no, shouted in the face of the dictatorship of what is visible, the cry that says, "My life is not a commodity to be sold at an auction of plastic hearts." Think about dance. The weightless dancer, floating above the mud, knows that the power is not in the audience's scream, but insolent perfection of his movement. He dances because the music plays within him. Self-exposure is the weight the flock carries, the anchor that keeps them from ascending. Those who don't post aren't hiding from the light. They are the light itself. The sun of their approval rises in their own breasts, and they reject the feeble, borrowed light of likes like someone who refuses a candle when they already have the sun. Nietzsche taught us that life should be our masterpiece. But how can the flock paint its work if, with each brush stroke, it needs its neighbor's permission to know which color to use? The digital recluse understands that their art, their identity, must be protected from the desecration of the masses. The gaze of the crowd is a dirty brush that blurs the fine lines of their uniqueness. Constant exposure transforms the unique canvas into a repetitive, disposable drawing. Think again of the child, but this time with absolute clarity. When they build a sandcastle, the joy is in the act of building, in the touch of the sand, in the invention of form. If, with each pile of sand, they stopped and begged for approval, the magic would die. The adult who refuses to post photos is, in their deepest essence, reclaiming this purity of invention. He is playing at existing, and the pleasure of existence is the only currency he values. He doesn't trade the dignity of his being for a handful of digital balloons. This refusal, this no that comes from force, is the foundation of all the values that follow. It's the first crack in the clay idol of popularity. While the world drowns in an abyss of mirrored vanity, the individual who doesn't post is rising. He rises with the precision and lightness of an acrobat who doesn't need to prove he's real. He knows that is real. The curiosity, the emotion that I arouse in you, is not about why they don't post. It's about the envy of freedom that their silence can awaken in you. The envy of those who have already broken free from the social leash. Who are you when you're not being seen? Who would you be if digital applause disappeared forever? The silent individual already has this answer, and it is their most non-negotiable strength. Here's the breaking point that most people miss. The real tragedy of the herd is that it confuses be seen with to be. They believe that existence is only validated by the testimony of strangers. The prisoner, on the other hand, understands the attention economy. He realizes that attention is the new gold, and that the system is designed to plunder this gold from his soul. By not posting, he becomes a secret agent of his own life. It transforms the time that would be spent healing the image into time dedicated to heal the being. He invests in quality of your experience, and not in the number of spectators of this experience. Have you ever stopped to think that most people can't even enjoy a beautiful moment, a special lunch, a genuine smile, because the urge to turn it into content is greater than the urgency of just feel it? Digital silence is a radical invitation to return to the body, return to the moment, and declare that the flavor of that coffee or the strength of that idea are values complete in themselves, not a draft waiting for approval to be finalized. The individual who does not expose themselves is, in practice, refusing to be a mirror for the insecurities of others, and choosing to be one light for your own path. He understands the vital principle. The energy spent on the test is energy stolen from the action. It's vital to understand that this first part is the awakening. It's the moment when you realize that the issue isn't the absence of photos, but the overwhelming presence of a self-defined self. We stand on the threshold of this cave of knowledge, and what lies within are the pillars of a strength you didn't know you needed. They don't need external light, because they already possess the sun. But if the sun is within, what prevents the darkness outside from trying to extinguish it? The answer lies in the first and most powerful of shields: self-worth. And I tell you, their self-worth is so solid, so non-negotiable, that it cannot be touched by the fragile and volatile finger of the world. If the world is a market of souls, and the flock is sold for likes, what is a man who refuses to have a price actually building? He is forging the only wall that is impossible to break down, an unshakable castle, where your worth is dictated by no one except your own sovereign self. In the next passage, I will take you to the battlefield, where the individual transforms the futility of approval into pure internal gold. You have taken the first step on the journey, and the cold mountain wind we feel now is not of danger, but of freedom. In Part 1, we understood that digital silence is not weakness. It is a declaration of power. Now I reveal what this power is, the heart that beats within the chest of our individual, the strength that does not depend on anyone. For this being, the refusal to post photos is the act of declaring, "My value is a master key that only I possess. I do not give it to anyone." Remember the metaphor of great imitation game. The flock uses the screen as a thermometer. If the like arises, they feel warm. If the like falls, they cool down. They are beings made of reactions, dependent on the outside climate. But the individual I'm interested in is made of essence. Imagine you're holding a precious stone. Its brilliance and value come from within, from how it was forged in the heat of the earth. It doesn't need you to show it to 500 people to become valuable. It and valuable. The silent individual is that stone. What he guards is the self-esteem treasure, and this treasure is unconditional. When we talk about first psychological reason in our study, the value that comes from within, we're talking about the most courageous part of us. It's the moment when you look in the mirror, the real mirror, not the digital one, and decide, I approve of myself. What I am, what I do, is enough. This shatters the old idol of vanity. Vanity says, I am what you think of me. The secret force says, I am what I know I am. Do you remember how, as a child, you tried to draw a picture and sought approval from those around you? It's a simple instinct. But in the adult world of social media, this instinct turns into a soul-sucking addiction. Like becomes the new sweet that soothes the pain of insecurity. The individual who doesn't post is sober. He looks at his own effort, his journey, his thoughts, and says, it's complete. The number of people who applaud him is, for him, a meaningless statistic, like counting the number of clouds in the sky. Here, there's a story that touches his daily life. Think of a master builder who spent 10 years in silence, learning to build a house that can withstand any storm. The value of the house isn't in the first price a stranger offers, but in the silent perfection of its foundations. When he refuses to show the house to a curious tour, he is not afraid. He is protecting the intrinsic value of his art. He knows that the house is strong independently of the gaze that observes her. The silent individual is this master. His life is the house. He understands that excessive applause destroys value. If everything is posted and everything is applauded, the applause becomes an empty sound. Silence is, then, an act of conservation of value. It is recognizing that gold should be kept in a safe and not scattered in the street to be trampled by the crowd. What is the unexpected turn? It's just that when you depend on approval, you become a predictable story. You post what like, you become a slave to your audience. Master key to self-worth freeze. You to be unpredictable, you act on your deepest desire, on your truth, not on the reaction of the masses. His silence is his unpredictability. It's proof that he's not hostage to the script the world has written for him. This unpredictability is your new wall. Think about the concept of autonomy. Autonomy is not doing what you want. It is knowing that your desire is not planted by external influences or by the fashion of the moment. The digital recluse, by freeing himself from the metrics of like, release your desire. He no longer needs to desire the most photogenic trip or the most colorful meal. He can desire the oldest book, the loneliest walk, the most misunderstood idea, because pleasure comes from sincere encounter with your own will, and not public recognition. He becomes the author of his own story, while the flock is just the hand that copies the script that the market has already written. This individual's unconditional value flourishes in the absence of witnesses. He has the courage to fail in secret and the dignity of win in silence. This inverts the whole social logic. While the world teaches that failure must be hidden and success must be shouted, it teaches that the fight is intimate and victory is a prize that only the fighter can fully enjoy. The lightness he radiates is not the lightness of superficiality, but the lightness of someone who does not carry the weight of other people's expectations. He turned, I need to be seen, into a powerful and final, I free myself to be. The true strength of the soul is not in being acclaimed on stage, but in continue the show even when the curtains are closed and the audience has gone. I ask you, with the clarity of one who sees the truth, what is the cost of being predictable? It is the loss of your originality. The individual who doesn't post is investing in what makes him unique. The risk he runs is not of being forgotten, but of being book. And there is no freedom without having the courage to be alone. The language I use is that of the abyss and of lightness. The abyss is the difficult work of dig your strength from the inside out, enduring the loneliness of the beginning. Lightness is the dance that happens later, when you no longer carry the unbearable weight of other people's opinions. The value of this being is forged in the fire of a single idea. Live each moment in such a way that you would want it again, over and over again. Would you post that photo if you knew you would have to relive the search for that one, like for eternity? The silent one lives in such a way that approval becomes useless because the value has already been attested by his own spirit. The old idol that is destroyed here is the idol of photo as proof of life. The new value that is forged is the existence as evidence in itself. You don't need to prove you exist. You exist. Only the herd needs digital road signs to tell it who and where it is. The solitary is its own map and compass. It takes the purity of a child to understand. The most valuable toy is the one you don't need to show off. It's yours. Your value is not for rent. It's a private fortress. And the only guardian is you. But wait, protecting your inner value is the beginning. The next step is protecting your territory where this value lives. The strong being not only defines himself from within, he defends his borders. If your value is the sun, privacy, it is the armor that prevents prying eyes and thieves from desecrating it. If its value is the master key, what is the secret architecture that makes the individual's castle impenetrable? In the next part, I will reveal the art of protecting your sovereign self from the surveillance and plunder of the society of the spectacle. You will discover that refusing to post is a political act of resistance. We have left the field of self-esteem, part 2, and now we climb the hill of sovereignty, where the self protects itself. If you have discovered the sun of your worth, it is time to build the personal castle that guards this light. The second psychological reason of our study, the privacy and control. In my view, it's not just about wanting to stay quiet. It's a declaration of Cold War against the soul-stealing that's happening in the digital age. Refusing to post photos is signing a peace agreement with yourself and telling the world, I'm not your commodity. The herd offers up their photos, their locations, their thoughts, like throwing coins into a magic well to make a wish. But this well isn't magic. It's a giant database. Every piece of information you throw is a brick that builds the invisible prison that society is building around you. The individual who doesn't post, our rising being, understands the architecture of this power. They know that, in today's world, true power lies not in having, but in keep. You've surrendered your image, and with it, the right to control it. Your photo becomes a puppet that the internet uses to sell you a product, a dream, or even a fear. The digital recluse refuses to be an actor in this puppet theater. He's not naive. He's a strategist of silence. He sees the big game not as something to be feared, but as the space where his freedom can still breathe. Privacy, for him, is the pure air of the soul. If your life were a book, would you allow strangers to write the chapters that matter most to you, just so they'd applaud louder? Let's delve deeper into the metaphor of the personal castle. Every photo you don't post is a wall you build. Every piece of information you keep is a door you lock. The master of this castle is the only one who holds the keys. He understands that surveillance it is not only used to punish, but to prevent you from being different. If society knows what you eat, where you walk, and how you smile, it can predict your next move. And if it does, it limits you to being an efficient, predictable slave. This predictability is its most silent sentence. The individual who refuses to be read becomes a mystery, and mystery is the only form of respect left in this desert. I tell you, the non-posting is yours. Sacred veto, it's the refusal to participate in the great soul sale that the networks promote. It's not just protecting data, it's protecting yours. Potential, how can your will grow and clash with the world if every morning the world already knows where you will clash? The flock needs routine, and the free individual needs news and of surprise. His silence is the secret ingredient of his own evolution. But the individual I'm interested in is a free force. Your refusal is the break of the cycle. It destroys the idol of mandatory transparency. While the flock screams, "Everything must be seen," he whispers, "What is most precious should be kept in the dark, where it grows strong and secret." If your image is your digital body, what does it mean to hand it over for people you've never seen to judge, evaluate, and use as they please, without your being able to ask for it back? The clarity I offer is the distinction between imposed solitude and chosen solitude. The digital recluse chooses his solitude, like a scientist chooses his secret laboratory. It is there, in the protected silence of the castle, that he conducts his experiments to surpass himself, far from the noise and interference of others. He is not running away from life, he is refining life. The time the flock spends documenting lunch, our strategist spends enjoying lunch. The time the herd spends waiting for the like in the travel photo, he spends planning the next journey. This difference in time management is the difference between live for the stage and live for yourself. And here is the key to power inversion. The inmate is not afraid of judgment. He has boredom of futility. Think of your mind as a vast garden. Every criticism, every inane comment, is a weed trying to steal the water from your most precious ideas. The digital recluse doesn't want to spend his life pulling weeds. He locks the garden away. He directs all his energy toward cultivating its rarest flowers. His deeper ideas, your riskier projects, your most intimate moments. He understands that the energy is the scarcest resource and that the like is the parasite that sucks this energy. This being is as strict guardian of his mental focus. He refuses to be dragged into the mediocrity of public debate about things that don't matter to his destiny. He doesn't care if the world thinks he's happy. He focuses on be happy. It replaces the need to be seen for the joy of being. Think of the curious. They bark at the gate, hungry for a crumb. These are the critics and the gossipers. The digital recluse knows that feeding these curious people is empowering them. By not posting, he takes away their food. He kills gossip before it can even start, not out of fear of it, but because boredom, he values his time. If you only had 1 hour a day to be happy, would you spend that hour looking at the happiness of others or building your own in silence? This is the art of protecting one's own worldview. For philosophy, there are no facts, only the stories we tell about them. If you post a photo, you are delivering your own story to the world. The silent individual demands to be judged only by what he or she says, does in real life, for its influence, for its presence when he chooses to be present, and not through the pixelated drawing of him. The photo is a simplification, and he refuses to be simple. He is the abyss and the lightness, and the abyss doesn't fit into a square. What the herd doesn't understand is that refusing to expose oneself is the biggest sign of internal strength. You only expose yourself when you feel the need to prove something. Those who don't post have already proven themselves enough. They've already won the vanity game before it even begins. Your life is a guarded treasure, and the rarity of this treasure is what gives it immense value in the market of what is quick and disposable. They've turned privacy into luxury. But there is something even more dangerous than story theft. There is the paralysis. Silence, though powerful, can be the basis for a deep fear, not only of invasion, but of something subtle. The fear of the hammer, the dread of criticism. This fear can be the last chain that binds you. If privacy is the castle, judgment is the siege. But what if criticism comes not from an army, but from a single whisper from a stranger? What if that whisper had the power to bring you down? Many who remain silent do so not simply out of force, but out of a subtle terror, the fear of other people's hammers. In the next part, I will take you to the battlefield of judgment and show you how the digital recluse, consciously or not, finds in introverts' calm the smartest and most elegant escape route. You will discover that silence is the choice of where you spend your precious energy. Do you feel the ground shaking? We have left the personal castle, privacy, and now entered the minefield of the social arena, where the oldest fear of the herd is activated. Fear of judgment. A third psychological reason of our study, the fear of criticism, is the sound of digital slavery. This slavery is maintained by the need to diminish others to feel greater. The digital herd is a choir of critics, and every photo posted is bait for their venom. The individual who doesn't post, in their weakest form, avoids the fight. They know that by exposing themselves, they open the door to insults, cruel comments, and faceless hatred. The anxiety of being misunderstood or, worse, ignored, is a terror that paralyzes. He refuses to be the puppet on the altar of others' vanity. It is an escape. But this escape, when viewed from a higher angle, transforms into a powerful act of save your own energy. And this is where the union with the fourth psychological reason, an introvert's calm, which, in my view, is redemption. The ascending being does not run away. He withdraws intelligently. Think of the dancer I promised you. His lightness is not just beauty, it is efficiency. He uses his energy only on the movement that matters. The herd, when posting, spends its energy on digital currency exchanges. Each like demands a response. Every criticism demands a defense. It's a cycle of social burnout that saps the soul of strength. The introvert who doesn't post, our strategist, understands the real cost of this exchange and declares it a bad deal. He is a treasurer of his own time and his own peace. He refuses to be sucked into small things. Loneliness, for the flock, is a disease, a sign that something has gone wrong. For us individually, loneliness is laboratory of will. It is the silence where he can hear your own voice, without the noise of third-party opinions. This is where he builds his ideas, his plans, his future actions. His refusal to post is the act of closing the laboratory door so that important work can be done without interruption. He's not antisocial. He is noisy anti-narrative. A curious fact, which renews interest, is this. Most people spend more time consuming, looking at other people's lives, than creating, building their own lives on the networks. Our digital recluse is primarily a consumer, but a smart one. They use the web as a research tool, an archive, a source of inspiration, and never as a mirror to define themselves. They refuse to be the fuel that fuels the system's fire. What is the fundamental difference between the fear of judgment and the strategic energy choice that coalesce in silence? The fear of judgment is the weakness that says, I won't post, so I won't be hurt. The strategic energy choice is the strength that says, I won't post because what you offer me, likes, comments, costs me more energy than my next move is worth. The individual I care about overcomes fear and reaches strength. He doesn't care about criticism, but he does care about waste of time that criticism demands of him. He prefers to spend his energy on self-improvement, on the next step in his evolution, rather than explaining himself to a group of seated spectators. It is the ethics of to do, the ethics of react. The language here should be that of poetic affirmation. The individual who doesn't post is dancing in the void, not because they're afraid of falling, but because the music of the herd is ugly. They wait for their own melody, the music of their will, to begin to move. And this melody only plays in the silence. To the child, I explain it this way. It's as if you have a beautiful secret. You could tell it to everyone at school and receive applause for 5 minutes. But if you keep it, it remains yours, a treasure that makes you smile every morning. The digital recluse guards their treasures. The world sees the outside, but has no access to the richness within. The destruction of the old idol is clear. The idol is the need to be seen to feel real. The new value that is forged is the internal reality that is sufficient in itself, even if it is not seen. The greatest proof of strength is the ability to don't get involved in petty arguments. But there's a subtle trap. Silence, as much as it's a shield, can become the most perfect of masks. The individual can protect themselves so much from the world that, without realizing it, they begin to protect themselves from themselves. They can replace the false image they don't portray with an idealized one they only construct in their own mind. The next step is crucial, confronting the authenticity. If silence is our armor against judgment, it can also be our most perfect lie. Many remain silent not to be truthful, but to hide who they really are, fearing that truth is less grand than absence. What is the risk of being silent? Is that he begins to love the ghost that he doesn't post. In the next part, we will enter the most brutal confrontation, the fight for authenticity. where the individual must prove that he is not just running away from the digital mirror, but rather looking head-on at his true self, with all its shadows and lights. It is necessary to break this trap. Our individual cannot be content to merely escape judgment. He must transcend the very need to define himself by absence. His strength lies not in what Henados does not post, but in what he does in the silence of your will. Think of a river. The flock is the foam on the surface, noisy, agitated, reacting to every wind. Our individual is the deep current, silent, unshakable, who follows his destiny, ignoring the noise from above. His refusal to explain himself is his greatest asset, because he understands that the energy used to justify yourself is a betrayal of your potential for action. The time the flock spends defending a photo, it uses to build a bridge or write an idea. This is the economy of the soul he masters. He does not waste life force on ghosts. The introvert's calmness, which many confuse with shyness, is actually a focus discipline. He refuses to fragment. The flock, when posting, divides into thousands of digital eyes, each expecting a different reaction. The silent individual protects his indoor unit. He knows that he can only climb the mountain of self-improvement if his spirit is whole, without the cracks caused by constant self-exposure. He is a master at saying no to everything that doesn't make him grow. And the biggest no, he screams, is to superficiality. He refuses to reduce his life experience, which is three-dimensional, complex, and full of silences, to a two-dimensional square of colored pixels. He knows that the depth of a thought, the strength of pain, or the joy of true love, they just don't fit in the simplistic language of social media. The photo is a lie because it freezes what is fluid, simplifies what is vast, and, worse, forces silence to scream. The surprising fact that destroys the last veil is this: the individual who does not expose himself has, paradoxically, the life more intense than those who expose themselves. The intensity of life is not measured by the public, but by strength of your feeling. Whoever refuses to post is the one who allows himself feel everything in secret, without the distraction of other people's gaze. The tears are deeper, the laughter is more sincere, the idea is more original because there is no need to worry about how it will all turn out. Received. He is the sole judge of his own intensity. The metaphorization of experience, the act of transforming life into content, is the death of feeling. By refusing to metaphorize, our ascending being becomes pure experience. He doesn't live to register. He lives to live. He has the courage to be invisible to be real. The greatest spectacle of life, he keeps to himself. This is the victory over judgment. It is not the absence of critics, but the absolute irrelevance of criticism. He turns poison into water, offense into background noise. He is the dancer in the abyss, and the abyss cares not for criticism. It dances to its own will. But now, the last and most dangerous of battles approaches. The battle of identity and authenticity. If he refuses the digital mask, he has the courage to be without a mask in real life? What if the hardest mask to take off is the one he built for himself in his own silent laboratory? If the herd wears the mask of posted perfection, the silent individual risks wearing the mask of unposted perfection, fearing that their truth is imperfect. The confrontation with the ghost of the ideal self will be the subject of our next violent passage. Prepare yourself, for the final mirror we must break is not on the screen, but in your own mind. We climbed the mountain, and now we face the highest peak, the authenticity. If calm, part 4, gave us focus, now we need true. A fifth psychological reason is the deepest: identity and the refusal to be reduced. The digital recluse, in his most evolved form, does not post because he understands the big photo. A photo is a false idol. It takes the constant flow of life and freezes it in a still, perfect, edited moment. And what is editing a photo if not lying elegantly? It's choosing the best angle, the best light, the best moment, and presenting it as if it were the totality of your being. It is the creation of a puppet idealized that betrays the complexity, confusion, and contradiction of its real existence. My vision is clear. You are a being of abyss and lightness. You are made of doubts and certainties, of sadness and joy, of failures and successes. The photo, the filter, only allows success and joy. The silent individual rebels against this tyrannical simplification. He says no to the reduction of his being to an algorithm of happiness. His refusal is the spirit's revolt against tyranny of the single image to the child, I explain. It's as if you had to show only your newest toy every day, and you had to smile all the time. You would stop being real, wouldn't you? You are real because you play with all the toys, cry when you lose, and are happy when you win. The digital recluse refuses to wear the digital fantasy of never-ending happiness. His refusal is a complexity statement. What he's saying, with every unrecorded moment, is that life is bigger than the format the internet imposes. His story is bigger than 10 seconds, bigger than a quick caption. It's bigger than weight of eternity. This resistance is a profound lesson about nature of time. The photograph is a cowardly refuge against the passage of time. You freeze a moment, trying to deny that it's gone, trying to prove that your happiness from that day is still real. But the strong individual is not afraid of impermanence. They embrace the fact that the moment of happiness, it's already past, and that he needs build anew. He doesn't live on memories skewered. He lives on continuous creation. He is always looking forward to the next action that defines his being, and not to the glorified reflection of the past. He knows that life is a river, and a photograph is just a cup of water taken from the flow. It betrays the movement and destiny of the entire river. The price of this clarity is that he doesn't have the crutch of social media to lean on, forcing him to face life head-on, moment by moment, without pauses for documentation. He practices the brutal presence in the here and now. Here, the narrative rhythm gains tension with a twist. The herd's greatest insecurity is doesn't look perfect. The greatest strength of the silent individual is not having to prove that you are perfect. He has already embraced his true self, including his flaws and shadows. Nietzsche taught us to love our destiny, the love what is. This means loving your entire life, with its moments of pain and moments of celebration, without wanting anything to be different. The digital flock practices hate what is. He edits, filters, and manipulates life to make it look like something that it is not. The digital recluse, by refusing the filter, is practicing loving what is in its purest form. He prefers the real, raw truth of his life to the sweet lie of self-I perfect. The act of not posting is your way of saying yes to the mess, the mistake, the tear, and all the unphotographable chapters that actually shape your character. The existential cost of digital lie is what moves him. He understands that each false image is a small loan that his soul makes for the future, and that this debt is repaid with loss of inner peace. It's a burden he refuses to bear, preferring the lightness of truth, even if it is, in the superficial eyes of the flock, less attractive. He rises above illusion because he knows that praising lies only poisons the soul that needs truth to flourish. He is a harsh gardener, plucking out all the plastic flowers. Consider the mirror metaphor. The digital mirror is crooked. It magnifies what is good, what is beautiful, but it is false. The silent individual breaks this mirror. They don't need a false reflection to feel complete. Their identity is built on action, in experience and in error, in the sweat of work and in the victory over himself, and not in the still pose. He prefers to be the sculptor of your own life, to be the statue that others admire. He doesn't want to be defined by a smooth piece of marble, but by hammer and chisel that he uses to forge himself every day. The tension here is the internal conflict. The silent being is the one who has the courage to look into his own abyss. He asks himself, if I post my image and it is praised, do I love the praise more than the truth about myself? The answer, for him, is a danger, and silence is the defense against this betrayal. This refusal is the great personal power that reveals itself. The individual who does not seek the applause of the audience can focus solely on the value of his effort. He does not need the noise from outside to move. He is the music itself. The act of not posting is proof that your happiness is not an exchange of favors. He needs no witnesses for his joy to be real, nor an audience for his pain to be valid. The destruction of the idol is the most violent, the idol of identity as spectacle. The new value that is forged is the identity as being, as an essence that cannot be bought or sold. He becomes the judge yourself, and the only verdict that matters is the one he renders in his own inner court. The recluse is not seeking validation, but true, and this search, in itself, is already the greatest of victories. We've reached the crucial point. If refusing to post is an act of strength and truth, then silence is the price one pays for freedom. And the price of freedom, my young explorer, is yours, full responsibility for who you are. The conclusion is imminent. If your online attitude says a lot about you, what does your attitude offline are you building? What are you doing with this sacred space that you refuse to sell? If you have earned your worth, defended your peace, and rebelled against the false image, what will you do now with yours? Newly won freedom. Wisdom is useless if it is not transformed into action. The true proof that you have overcome the herd is not your silence, but your strength of your next step. In our final installment, I'll hand you the hammer so you can finally forge your destiny and turn this entire philosophy into reality. Prepare for the call to action. We've reached the end of the journey, but the real work is just beginning. We've crossed the abyss of vanity and ascended to the lightness of strength. We've seen that refusing to post photos isn't an escape, but the manifestation of 5 great forces that shape the soul. Non-negotiable value, that is enough, to secret peace of your inner castle. The calm strategy that ignores the noise. The introvert's strength, which saves vital energy, and, finally, the revolt of truth against the false image. Now, I give you the synthesis, the final tool, the key that transforms knowledge into power, your yes to life. The love. What is Amor Fati is the most powerful concept a free spirit can embrace. It means not only accepting, but wish, with the deepest joy, everything that has happened and is happening in your life, including the pain, the mistake, the shame, and the victory. The digital herd does not love its fate. It hides the pain, erases the struggle, pretends the flaws didn't exist, and only shows the perfect moment, which is a cowardly lie and a betrayal of the human experience itself. The individual who refuses to participate in this theater is, in essence, saying, "I love my life exactly as it is, with its mistakes and its successes, and I don't need to prove its beauty to anyone but myself." This is the creative affirmation. Amor Fati is not the resignation of a slave who accepts his burden. It is the affirmation of the master who recognizes that every piece of his past was necessary to forge the warrior he is today. The pain of yesterday becomes the chisel that sculpts his current strength. If you resent a moment in your life, you are still trapped in it. The strong person frees themselves, blessing their own story in its entirety. They are the director who accepts the complete version of the film, not just the trailer edited for success. The clarity that destroys the old idol and forges the new value is this: you are real, not because you were applauded, but because you act. The path to the first practical step requires that you stop defining yourself by what you post and start defining yourself by what he does. Your identity is not your digital reputation. It is non-negotiable sum of all your actions. Your identity is not a still photo. It is the sum of all your movements, those seen and, especially, those made in secret. If you want to be a thinker, go think, even if the world doesn't read a word. If you want to be a creator, go create, even if your initial work is imperfect and hidden, and do it for it of the act, by the joy of the strength that manifests itself, and not by the number of hearts it can generate. Your true picture is yours, real-world influence, your tangible impact, the trail of fire you leave behind, not the trail of pixels. The digital ego is fragile, dependent on others. The true ego is solid, built on the sweat of effort. Digital silence is your incubation period for this solid identity. Then take the secret mirror test. Ask yourself the hardest question of all, test of eternity. If a demon told you that you would have to relive this week, this day, this attitude now, this life, infinite times, with all its pains, repetitions, boredoms, and joys, would you do it with joy? Would you bend your knees and beg for the wheel to stop? Or would you say, yes, with a cry of triumph? The flock would tremble before the eternal return of your escapes and your digital lies. The strong one would say, yes. Refusing to post is your chance to make your life worthy of this eternal yes, to elevate it to a work of art you want to revisit forever. Use digital silence not as a shelter, but as a quality hammer. Every silent action should be done with the intention that it is an action you want to immortalize. It's the highest ethic there is, and it can only be practiced by those who are free from the need to show off. If you live to post, you don't live to immortalize. If you live to immortalize, you don't need to post. Finally, use the hammer to create. The hammer I have given you should be used to break down false idols within you, such as the need for approval and the fear of being judged, but also to forge your new morals. Create your own values. If social media doesn't help you meet your eternity test, use it only as a tool, a place to research, to learn, but never as your compass or your source of meaning. Your meaning resides in you, in your will to power, in your ability to overcome yourself with each new sunrise. Loneliness, here, isn't a lack of companionship. It's the price of originality. The strong know that to forge a new path, they must go where no one else is. We are Gemini, and our essence is duality, the depth of knowledge and the lightness of understanding. I have shown you that the digital desert is where most get lost, but it is also the place from which the free spirit rises. The dance of your sovereign self begins now, free from the weight of likes and the tyranny of selfie. It's not about living off the grid, but about living your own life as intense, real and courageous, that the image on the screen becomes unnecessary, a pale shadow of its true light. The personal power that the silent individual reveals is the power of be different, if it is an exception that proves the rule of superficiality. He is the beacon that radiates, rather than the mirror that reflects. What is your strength? Make your declaration. Are you the protector of peace who values your castle? Are you the seeker of truth who refuses the filter's lie? Or are you the ascending being who transforms fear into strength? The final invitation is not to silence, but to action. State your truth in the comments. It doesn't matter whether you post your photo afterward or not. What matters is intention behind your next action. You post to connect and share your strength, or to be seen and beg for validation? You comment to participate of creating new value, or to appear and steal the focus. It's your turn to use your hammer. The final call to action is a test of will. If this journey through the philosophy of strength and truth has touched your spirit, if this clarity has shattered some old idol within you, your next action is a test of will. First, leave your like. Not to applaud me, but to applaud the new truth you have found in yourself and the yes to your own life. Second, comment. It can be done secretly. Answer the question, which of the 5 strengths is your greatest weapon today? If your peace is sacred, use a false name. The important thing is the act of declaring yourself. Third, subscribe and activate the bell. Join those who seek depth in a world of surfaces. Not to follow, but Toto grow. Our next meeting will be even further into the abyss.